In 1972, Genesis released their album Foxtrot, and my friend Jim and I are going to talk about it on this episode of Records with Ray.
She seems to have the invisible touch, yeah.
That's not the Genesis that we're going to be talking about today, right? It's no fun being an illegal alien.
Or I can't dance.
When most people think of Genesis, they think of the 80s. And
Pretty much.
But I don't think there's a lot of people know that there was an entirely different engine running back in, well, when did Foxtrot come out?
Yeah, and I mean, like, Phil Collins wasn't even the lead singer.
No, Phil Collins was the drummer.
He was the drummer.
Peter Gabriel
was
the singer.
The lead vocalist.
I'll never forget when first of all, I always just assumed that Genesis kind of started with like Abacab. And
yeah.
And I just assumed like, oh, that's all Genesis was just, I don't want to say poppy, but that's the word that's coming to my mind.
Genesis was a great experience for me musically because...
How's that?
The first album I heard from Genesis was Abacab.
Yeah.
Right? So I hear this music playing. Actually, my dad was playing a Genesis Abacab record on. He had it on like all day. I'm like, what's this? I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, what's this great music and all the band?
No, yeah.
It's called Genesis.
Yeah, Abacab is great, and Turn It On Again. And, like, those songs are good, but they're straight ahead. They're not even prog rockish though. They're definitely more.
Well, no, I mean, like, you know, we won't really stay on Abacab too long here, but Abacab had its own sound as well, I think. But okay, so then later on, I hear, you know, there must be some misunderstanding. Okay,
yes.
Genesis again. Like, these songs keep grabbing me.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm at a party at a friend's house, and I hear this progressive rock music playing, you know, and so I'm like, wow, this is really good stuff, you know. I say, hey, what is this? I ask my friend. It's Genesis. I'm like, what?
This doesn't sound like the Genesis that I know of.
This is Genesis? Who? That's not Phil Collins singing. No, it's Peter Gabriel. What? So
Peter Gabriel was.
It was like a whole rediscovery into the same band.
And then
which is really cool.
And then you realize that Peter Gabriel was in, how many albums did they release with Peter Gabriel?
Well, you had
5 or 6,
if you want to count the Decca recordings.
Yeah.
That as well. But the focus is on Foxtrot, and what an album it is.
Yeah, I remember the first song I heard from them was "Watcher of the Skies."
And
I remember you and I have played in bands together back when we were younger, and I remember we were always fascinated with odd time signatures.
Yeah.
And any of these like prog rock songs that would have this, you know, and I remember hearing "Watcher of the Skies," which is what is it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I remember like, okay, I'm sold.
Yeah, and I mean, myself being a drummer, that was right up my alley. You know, I mean, that actually was my introduction into prog rock.
Was it really?
Pretty much. I mean, I heard bits and pieces of Yes, but Genesis Foxtrot is the first album that really grabbed me.
Yeah.
So like, whew, I dove right in.
Yeah.
You know, which eventually led to me, you know, really getting into Rush, of course, Neil Peart. I mean, come on, and things like that. But Foxtrot. I mean, that introduction with Watcher of the Skies, that organ. I mean, that Mellotron. Wow.
Yep.
You know, there's so many songs on that album. They're just like. Just a creative musical genius, I think.
Yeah, and then there's Supper's Ready.
Yeah.
I mean, how long? Is that the whole second side, or is there another song?
No, it starts with Horizons. If you remember that beautiful acoustic ballad, I guess Steve Hackett wrote it. I'm not sure, but starts with Horizons. Goes into Walking Across.
Yep.
You know, into Supper's Ready, which is, I believe, 22 minutes long,
And
something like that.
I mean, you want to talk about a song that like takes you on a trip. It's that song.
Yeah.
It's I've never heard anything like that before, and it's kind of like it's almost like an emotional roller coaster ride that you go on. I've never. Has Genesis ever written any other songs like that?
Well, I mean, they've had other, like In the Cage.
Yeah.
Which was an original song off of Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Yeah.
But they brought it back later on and added, more songs to In the Cage on the Three Sides Live album, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But as far as Supper's Ready, I mean, that one, I mean, imagine writing a 22, 23-minute song and all the pieces are just continuously interesting and like just, mega great.
Do you think like when they wrote Supper's Ready, do you think that they had you just write all the parts individually and then you're like, all right, let's try to put all these together, or do you think it was written all kind of stream of conscious? It's like, okay, this is going to be the first part. All right, now what are we going to have it do next?
I think from what I've read, Peter had some parts, Mike Rutherford had some parts, Tony Banks. I mean, he was a very big writer in Genesis.
Yeah.
He had parts. They all had bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Put them together and, formed this incredible piece of music.
Could you imagine band practice? All right, what song are we doing next? Supper's Ready. I gotta go pick up my kids in a half hour.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, but it was all worth it, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was worth it because they go on to make probably one of the best prog rock albums that there ever was.
What's nice with Supper's Ready, it's a nice finale to a phenomenal album.
Yeah.
And it feels like at the end of that song, you just been through something.
Yeah.
And you're now like coming out like at the end of it, like with a feeling of victory or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now time to take a shower.
Time to take a shower. Yeah. But Foxtrot as an album, as a whole album, is just incredible as well. I mean, Timetable, that's a great song.
Yeah. Is Get 'Em Out by Friday on that album?
Yeah, another great one.
That's probably like the most normal song on that album.
Oh yeah. Get 'Em Out by Friday. And Can Utility and the Coastliners. Yeah.
See, there you go. Here's a little tip from Ray. If there's going to be a Genesis tribute band, if they call themselves the Invisible Touch, you know what kind of music you're getting. But if they're called, what was the name of that?
Can Utility and the Coastliners.
If they're called Can Utility and the Coastliners, they're going to be good.
Yeah. And, there are some great tribute, Genesis tribute bands out there. I mean, one comes to mind. I mean, the Musical Box.
See, they're called the Musical Box.
The Musical Box. Yeah, you know what era you're going to get. So,
but if they were called...
As with Beatles, they had eras. Genesis had eras.
So if they called themselves the Illegal Aliens...
Yeah.
If you see a Genesis...
But that's a good album,
If you see a Genesis band called the Illegal Aliens, just be like, oh, these guys are going to be terrible. Yeah. Do you think...
I might even still go see
Do you think if there was a Genesis tribute band, but they're going to do like 80s Genesis, do you think they have to dress up like, all right, you're the Phil Collins character, you got to shave your head and put on a little weight? Oh, man.
Actually, I don't recall the name of them, but there is a later era
you gotta wear
Genesis tribute band
you gotta wear
where the guy does look like Phil Collins naturally.
You gotta dress up like 80s, like Miami Vice and stuff like that.
Hey, he was on an episode of Miami Vice.
Who was?
Phil Collins.
I'll tell you what, it kills me that Phil Collins was a rock and roll star. And he was, and I look at him, I'm like, he was like a bald guy. He was a bald guy.
But they still found a way to market him.
But he wasn't sexy or anything like that, Can you imagine,
maybe
like...
not to you.
Imagine, like, when...
Not to me either.
Genesis is like, all right, here's your new singer, Phil Collins. The janitor.
Yeah.